Welcome back, Genesys International College students. Today, we're jumping right into an explainer for CPCCBC5002. That's all about monitoring costing systems on those big, complex building and construction projects. Specifically, we're zeroing in on topic 3. For this session, I want you to think of me as your veteran site manager. I've been around the block a few times, and I'm here to show you future project managers exactly how to keep your projects financially breathing.
Now, before we even start crunching numbers, you have to remember one golden rule. Having a massive fixed contract sum, that doesn't magically mean cash is just sitting in the bank right when you need to pay for lumber or your labor crews. Money flows in and money flows out. And if those two flows get out of sync, your site literally grinds to a halt.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our agenda for today. 1. Mastering project cash flow. 2. Interim payments explained. 3. Rise and fall calculations. 4. Visualizing with S-curves. And 5. Evaluating time and cost risks.
Let's jump right into Section 1, Mastering Project Cash Flow.
As a site manager, you've got to truly understand the stakes. Complex projects, they have a million moving parts, and 1,000 ways things can go sideways. But listen to me, the biggest risk is not bad weather, it's not a delayed steel shipment, and it's not a broken crane. The absolute deadliest risk to your project is having an empty bank account while your crew is in the middle of pouring concrete. If you can't pay your subs, well, dodging their angry phone calls is definitely not how you want to spend your week. Without cash, you can't buy materials, and the whole project just dies on the vine.
And that brings us directly to our core philosophy. Your learner guide hits the nail right on the head here, stating, maintaining cash flow is of the utmost importance in construction projects. Higher stakes absolutely mean higher risks. You've got massive amounts of money moving around, so maintaining that cash flow isn't just some boring back-office accounting chore. It is, without a doubt, the project manager's most vital duty on site.
All right, moving into Section 2, Interim Payments Explained.
So how do we actually keep that money flowing? Let's break this down into plain English. On these massive projects, contractors would normally have to shoulder a huge bulk of the costs completely out of pocket before ever seeing a dime of reimbursement. That's where interim payments come in. They act as a financial life support system. They're immediate, advance payments made for urgent needs, paying the contractor for the estimated value of work carried out at specific stages. It's not a bonus, okay? It's a structural mechanism to ensure you actually have the cash to keep the lights on and the crews swinging hammers.
Next up, Section 3, Rise and Fall Calculations.
So the crucial point here is that prices change. It's just a fact of life. The cost of steel today might be totally different from the cost of steel in 6 months. That's where rise and fall calculations come in. They determine the fluctuation of construction costs, which allows for adjustments to the final price tag. These allowable claims usually cover things like adjustments to material costs, changes in worker compensations, or even new tariffs. Basically, it ensures that both the contractor and the client share the burden of a crazy market, meaning everybody gets a fair shake regardless of how prices shift.
Let's look at Section 4, Visualizing with S-curves. With these financial tools in our toolkit, we need a way to actually track them. So I want you to literally picture the letter S in your mind. An S-curve is basically a graph that plots your cumulative costs against your project timeline. Now, Phase 1, right at the start, is relatively flat as things get geared up. But Phase 2, the middle, that gets much steeper. This is where your costs climb rapidly, and honestly, where you'll be sweating the most over your budget. Finally, we hit Phase 3, which flattens out again as the project decelerates toward completion. It's a brilliant visual that tells you exactly where and when your project is burning through cash. And this brilliantly illustrates the exact steps you need to follow to build that projection yourself. Step 1. Prepare your cost estimates based on your schedule. Step 2. Determine your estimated cash inflow, what's coming into the bank. Step 3. Determine your estimated cash outflow, what's leaving the bank. Step 4. Combine those two to get your estimated cash flow. And then, absolutely crucial, Step 5. Compare that estimated cash flow with your actual, real-world cash flow to see if you're really on track.
Which brings us to Section 5, Evaluating Time and Cost Risks.
Now we're shifting from the theory of the S-curve to the harsh reality of the job site. Let's trace the momentum line by line, using some real data across 3 weeks. You take your beginning cash balance, add your total cash inflow, subtract your total cash outflow, and boom, that gives you your net cash outflow. Add that net to your beginning balance and you've got your ending cash balance. For example, in week 1, starting with $107,000 and ending with a healthy $187,000 thanks to a positive net cash flow. Now that is what a good week looks like. But what's really interesting about this data is week 0.
Look at that negative 23,000. Your outflow was completely dominating your inflow. When your forecasted cash flow shows more money bleeding out than coming in, you are staring down the barrel of pessimistic overdraft requirements. You literally have to anticipate these dips and make sure you have the financing ready to cover them, or else, like we said, everything stops.
And this leads us to a pretty sobering reality check. When you hold up your projections against your actuals, they need to match. If your actual cash flow is running beyond your projections, you are officially spending beyond your budget. For a site manager, missing these marks compromises the entire operation. It introduces massive time and cost risks, and take it from me, it can easily lead to non-compliance with your contract, which means a very messy legal breach. Your cash payments are your absolute lifeblood for staying operational, without having to sacrifice the quality or the scope of your build.
So, future project managers of Genesis International College, I'm going to leave you with this. When you're out there on the dirt, how will you handle your very first major variance between your actual and projected cash flow? Because now you've got the tools. You know about interim payments, rise and fall calculations, and S-curves. You're ready to not just spot the variance, but actively fix it. Take these concepts from today's explainer right into your assessments and straight onto the job site. Keep that cash flowing and keep building. Thanks for hanging out with me on this deep dive.